Hello, Raven fans, Oriole fans. Thank you for joining me this week on the Raven Sports Podcast. Like and subscribe to all of the social media content we're providing for you. Thank you very, very much. More and more YouTube subscribers. Thank you for that. It's cool, man. It's cool to see more people out there checking us out. Rumble, I see people have been checking it out, so we're going to continue to do that. So definitely check out Ravery Sports Podcast on Rumble. Twitch channel is going to be there. We are going to be I've been saying it, but we're going to do it. We are going to be uploading some video game stuff on there soon enough. Hopefully we can buy the Terp season. We can get something done there with that, not just the podcast. So we're hoping for that one as well. The X page is back up and running. So we got that square. We almost have 500 total. Probably this week sometime we're gonna have 500 total followers on Twitch, not Twitch, on Twitter. So thank you very much, all of you, for that. Always check us out at raverysports.company.site. So definitely hats like this one. This wasn't on there. This is a Terp shirt. We're gonna be talking. Get that in the shot there. So we're gonna be talking Maryland Terps football here. Right before the week of the game. It's August 25th. We're going to be talking Terps football. That's the Sunday before the Terps season start. First game against UConn as well, so we're going to be checking that out. Big Ten this year, no Ohio State, no Michigan. Going to play USC and some other tough teams, but it'll be interesting to see that. So definitely check that out. Genesis Notary Services, Facebook.com. So definitely, if you do live in the Shenandoah Valley area, here where I'm living currently, Shenandoah Valley area, you can get our notary services as well. Staying busy there as well with the notary business. So thank all of you for checking out the notary business as well. Definitely all of you there that are interested in that, and we appreciate it. We appreciate it. We're getting more phone calls about that, so we appreciate it. We are going to have a live stream September 2nd. That's Labor Day. So definitely I'm going to be spending my Labor Day talking to a lot of you about the notary business as well. Definitely check that out on my LinkedIn page as well. It'll be live there. I don't know if it's going to be live anywhere else right now. So I'm still working on that as well. See, Charles Harris, we are LegalShield.com. Definitely check us out as well on LinkedIn. Definitely to reach out to me on LinkedIn. For those of you that haven't done a lot of the business inquiries and things like that, definitely do that more. I get more on Facebook, honestly, business inquiries, but definitely on LinkedIn, you could definitely reach out and messages. I'm on there often to go ahead and get that. I do a lot of business on the social media, so that's a great way to get me. You can definitely, though, check us out by email, braverysports@gmail.com. So if you want shirts or any of the other business things that I'm doing with the notary business, with the Legal Shield business, whatever, as well. The value in the Legal Shield is tremendous. I can't believe, it saved me money using my Legal Shield. So definitely it could save a lot of you money out there as well. So definitely check it out. All right. State of the franchise for the Ravens. They've started. So this week we have the business of football is starting for real. They're back in action, back out at Owings Mills, back out in training camp. This is the first week of vets have arrived. The fearless leader arrived today. All the silly conspiracy theories can stop. Following camp the first 2 days, we're going to go not too much over camp today. Next week, starting this week, training camp reports. We're going to start our podcast a lot of times with the rest of the podcast during the preseason with training camp reports, see how guys are doing, how guys are progressing in camp. But today, for the first week, since we've only had 2 days here, state of the franchise for the Ravens. Okay, so what's going on for the season? What's the state of the Ravens? So tonight we got the president addressing the country. So we're going to address the Raven Nation here. State of the franchise. This is the coaching staff. A lot of it is very familiar. One of the best continuity in the NFL. John Harbaugh, his 17th season as coach. He would be the dean of the league at this point if it wasn't for one guy in the division, Mike Tomlin, with 18 years. So they're now with Belichick gone, the two longest tenures in the league as head coach. He's second highest as far as tenure. He's on the hot seat. He's on the hot seat. I don't think there's any question about it. This offense looks bad in the playoff again. I don't know if he survives with even as great as he's been all these years, coaching for 17 years. Eric DeCosta is going to lead us into the future, I think, one way or the other. I think he's one of the better GMs in the entire league. He's probably maybe one of the best at the NFL draft that there ever has been in the history of the league. So Eric DeCosta entering now, it seems like his sixth season as the offensive as the general manager. Now, offensive coordinator Todd Monken took over a couple years from Greg Roman. Offense now, he leaves a lot to Lamar. He kind of doesn't really have a system. He kind of goes with the feel. I don't love that personally, but he kind of the thinking was like you don't like Lamar really doesn't fit into any particular system, so we're just going to build one around Lamar. That's essentially what Todd Monken is doing. More interesting to see how this goes. You get Derrick Henry, you remove out Greg Roman, so you want to throw the football more, and everybody last year called for the run. So interesting to see what they actually do with Todd Monken. Zach Orr, former Raven linebacker, had his career cut short with the injury. Big shoes to fill with Mike McDonald now taking the head coaching job in Seattle. He is one of the youngest D coordinators in the league. I think he's only 34 years old. He was a former player. He's going to be taking the reins now as the defensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. Look, good opportunity for Zach Orr. This is going to be one of the best defenses, I think, in the NFL with the coordinator. Chris Horton now, 6 years special teams. Ravens always have some of the best special teams in the league, especially with John Harbaugh, probably the best coach in the league as far as knowing special teams as well, always putting emphasis on the special teams. Also, to bigger job with special teams, the kick returns are changing. Interesting. Very interesting to see. I can't wait to start reporting on that once we see a little bit more of that. So, what left out the door last year? We've talked about it. Let's talk about it one more time. I don't think we talked about Odell Beckham going to the Dolphins. He's going to went ahead and sign there, so he's going to be their third receiver there. Jadeveon Clowney with the Panthers signed. Ronald Darby was a pleasant surprise last year. He goes sign with the Jags. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards both joined the Harbaugh family out there in Chargers in Baltimore West or the LA Chargers there. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are both going to be competing for the starting job with the running back with the Chargers. Tyler Huntley, some people say for now he's in Cleveland. Read a couple articles, maybe he's making the team. We'll see. They're definitely going to keep their eye on that, I think, to see how he does, possibly returning. But for right now, he's gone. Sam Mustipher signed with the Broncos back up last year. Morgan Moses traded to the Jets last year. Ravens are now looking for a new tackle in the competition. Geno Stone, one of the league leaders in interceptions last year, signed with Cincinnati. Rock Ya-Sin, bit disappointing last year, played with the 49ers now. Kevin Zeitler, another one of the starters, is now with the Lions, a tremendous line for the Lions. Patrick Queen. I can't wait now for the Steelers games now. I couldn't before. I absolutely can now. This is exactly what we need. Exactly what we needed. Patrick Queen talking trash, former Raven. Can't wait for Derrick Henry to run him over when the season starts. John Simpson, starter, also going to the Jets. So that makes two former Ravens going to the starters for the Jets. Tyler Ott was the long snapper filling in for Nick Moore last year at sign up the road with the Commanders. Deshaun Phillips, special teamer with the Texans. Tyus Bowser, to my knowledge, hasn't signed anywhere. So, interesting. Too bad with Tyus. I think it's really good when he was on the field. Really fell out of the favor with the Ravens with the injury. Really shame with Tyus so far here. Oh, back to that. I'm sorry. Derrick Henry, the big, obviously, addition. The icing on the cake. What was missing in the AFC Championship game? Everybody kept telling the run game, what they do. Go out and get one of the top running backs in the league, a potential Hall of Famer in Derrick Henry. It's going to be hopefully the bell cow. So interested to see how they handle Derrick Henry in the offseason. During the season, rather, because John Harbaugh, I've said it several times, doesn't like bell cow. Are they going to use Derrick Henry like we're used to seeing? Is he going to get the amount of carries? Or are they going to yank him out, in and out? Can't wait to see it. Fascinating. Trying to tackle him and Lamar on the RPO, that's going to be impossible. Impossible. I don't see what do you do in that situation. Sure, we'll see a lot of that. Josh Jones signing going to be in the guard competition from the Texans. Played a lot of tackle. Going to be at the guard. Chris Board, special teamer. I think he's probably a special teamer. May start with an injury. Kadar Holloman, maybe he makes the team with from the Texans last year. Here's one that happened recently. Eddie Jackson, former Pro Bowl, kind of fell out of favor with the Bears. Hasn't played as well in recent years, so he's going to go ahead and sign and be a backup. Definitely there was a need there. So that tells me something. I was hoping that Kyle Hamilton wasn't hurt, but there's something there where they wanted to sign Eddie Jackson. Deontay Hardy, I think, going to be competing with Tylan Wallace for the starting kick punt return job, maybe for the 5th or 6th receiver role on the roster as well. Ravens draft Nate Wiggins. I think he's going to be the cornerback starter in 2025. I don't think he's going to start this year, at least not right away. Roger Rosengarten, he's going to be in that offensive tackle battle from week 1 right away. Isaiah Isaac hasn't really played much at all since being drafted. He's been hurt the whole time. He's not in camp. He's still injured as well. We will see. Devontae Walker looked good so far early in camp. Definitely going to be fighting for that 3rd receiver job with Nelson Aguilar. TJ Tampa, still haven't seen him yet. All reports he should be ready to go soon, even though he hasn't played yet. Rasheen Ali has looked okay so far in camp. Devin Leary, I don't think he makes the team. At least not the 53. We'll see. Doesn't look ready so far, not so great so far. Nick Semak, maybe he plays. Word was he's injured. I think he's been out there so far, but we will see with that. Susani Kane, definitely uphill battle. Probably practice squad. They're looking to stash him on 7th round safety. Definitely that matters also too with the signing of Eddie Jackson on the roster. So definitely going to be harder for him to make it as well. 5 biggest games on the schedule. I think the Chefs is huge week 1. This is about as big a week 1 game you can say. Obvious, not just because it's the 2 teams in the AFC Championship game last year, but huge for the Ravens. You lose here, I think they're going to be thinking about it, looking at it all year long. So I think they're huge, but I don't think we're going to lose. I think they're going to be motivated week 1. Definitely the more motivated team. Definitely going to be more ready to play. I think they really need this game, I think, week 1. About as big of a mental hurdle of a week 1 game that you need. They need to come out and really, they really going to be thinking that. Week 1. Cincinnati, I think week 5 is big. I think that's going to be a tough road game because I think Cincinnati's probably the next best team in the division. That's going to be huge for playoff positioning, seeding, and all that. I'm going to say the Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to be pretty good. I think they are in that game what we are in the Chiefs game. I think the Chargers are going to be enormously motivated. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh losing the Super Bowl to his brother John Harbaugh years ago, out there building his whole operation similar to the Ravens, looking in the mirror. So that's going to be big. Always with the Squealers, week 16. We will see where the Squealers are at that point. Patrick Queen coming into Baltimore. They're sure they're going to be greeting him quite rudely, as he should. Now he's a Steeler. And Houston Texans, I'm definitely putting that. I think they beat the Texans in the playoffs, but I think the Texans really, I think they're really part of the heavy artillery in the AFC as one of the top teams in the NFL. This definitely could be for the number 1 seed. We will see how that goes, or definitely early in the playoffs. Storylines, 5 biggest. Can the Ravens, for me, number one is definitely can the Ravens replace 3 departed offensive linemen? That's going to be huge. You're not going to have 3 of those guys. We talked about the departures. You're counting on 3 unproven guys, basically. No matter which way you slice it, you're replacing guys with vets with less experienced guys in every spot. So how is that going to affect you? You brought in Derrick Henry. You're going to be running the football. That's going to be a big deal. Can Rashad Bateman be a solid number 2? I definitely think Bateman's a solid. I've got no problem with Bateman on the field, except for he can't stay healthy. He plays a couple games and he's hurt. I don't buy this whole he doesn't have chemistry with Lamar. Kind of didn't play as much last year. Beckham got a lot more time. He finally kind of even the end of the year even got Beckham bench for the playoff game. Kind of worked his way. I think this is why they had confidence in him. Just got to stay healthy for 17 games rather. Zach Orr, I think, has big shoes to fill. This is going to be very difficult to fill the shoes of Mike McDonald. Be very interested to see what this looks like. I think he's going to have that as a bit of advantage because I'm kind of scratching my head myself. He's been with the Ravens a long time, a lot of iterations. What's his defensive philosophy going to look like? Is it going to look like Wink Martindale and Mike McDonald, or is it going to look like when he was a player or Rex Ryan or something like that? So it'd be interesting to see that as well. Adafi Owe, can he take the next step? Everybody's convinced. I'm just not as convinced with Adafi Owe that he has looked good in camp so far, so that's good. And can John Harbaugh survive another bad playoff loss? I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I think if they look like garbage again, the offense especially, I think Steve Bisciotti may make a move. So there you go. The Ravens, definitely. So that's the state of the franchise there. We're going to start here. So definitely we're going to do training camp reports as we go forward next week. Going forward, I think the Ravens overall in a good state. I think this is one of the best historically good franchises in the league ever since really 1999. It's been a long period of success over the last 25 years. Really, I think of the Ravens as a good team ever since Brian Billick got here in 99 when he took over Ted Marchibroda. And you basically had a lot of really good Ravens teams ever since then. You haven't had a prolonged period of losing in there at any point. You've had bad seasons, bad stretches, bad, but you've really had a really good team. So I think the state of the Ravens. There are questions though. Offensive line is a question for sure. Wide receiver, the second receiver, the third receiver, bit of a question. Bit of holes on offense. I think defense is in good shape. I think the only thing I'm worried about, is the pass rush and the health of some of the corners in the secondary. I think the Ravens are definitely a playoff team and in good shape going forward. So we will see the state of the Ravens franchise as we go forward. So now we're going to look at the defensive ends in the league. So we're completing our series here as we go through. So last week we finished the offense, the big guys, the center, in the offensive line and all that stuff. So we did that last year. We talked about that. So now as the remainder, we're going to go ahead and talk about defensive ends. I'm not going to use the term edge rush like everybody else does. 4-3 defensive ends. Interesting though. It's so hard to determine in some cases who is doing what nowadays, but I'm still going to use the term defensive end because I do think it is different than a 3-4 edge rusher or something like that, or teams that run different. So most of the teams also in the league now are running 4-3, 3-4 rather. So they're not using that. It's hard to decipher as much nowadays, which is why I think people are just using the term edge rush. What defensive lines look like. It's not as traditional. Some teams are running 4 defensive lines, but it is a difference when you have the 4-3 guys. A little difference in terms of them going against tackles instead of going against backs and things like that. To me, it's a different position. So we're going to mark this as different from the edge rush. However, a lot of these guys can play both, and they're really good. So we're going to do that as far as ranking these guys in the top 10. Bit of a projection. Last year's top defensive pick in the entire draft, former Alabama Crimson Tide, Will Anderson. Anderson only had 7 sacks. I think that's just the beginning. Kind of reminded me of the year before with Aiden Hutchinson. Didn't break that 10 sack barrier. He definitely is this year. I think all the raw tools are there. He win rate, everything like that is there. He's definitely, to me, a top 10 at this position. I think it's only a matter of time before he goes into the top 5 as well. He just gotta rookies early, especially, don't stay on the field enough always. I don't think there's any question about it. He's in the top 10 here. Montez Sweat for the Chicago Bears. This guy's kind of worked his way into that top 10 category. Montez Sweat. Here was a guy a few years ago, almost thought of maybe as a butt, but kind of worked his way, and really some of the best edge rush moves in the league when you talk about a guy. So definitely elevated the almost at the Commanders defense the last few years. Definitely got an extension from the Bears. I think one of the reasons why the Bears are in a good position going forward. They got a good group of veterans. This is definitely one of them, Montez Sweat. I definitely have him at number 9. Danielle Hunter. He's always a guy who's kind of, I think, overlooked in terms of how solid he is. Everywhere he seems to go, he's got 10 plus sacks or right around there, or he stays healthy on the field, and he's always in the top 10 as well. This is what I'm talking about, the difference between the 3-4 guy and the 4-3 guy. This is a 4-3 guy. Danielle Hunter, the strength is a difference. The power is a difference. That's what he is. He's got good speed, but he kind of cuts inside defensive end, not necessarily the plethora of moves, but definitely, and I think this is why he's underrated. It's not as sexy like a Danielle Hunter, but he's definitely in the top 10. If you're just going pass rush, this is absolutely it. Not just the entire, but a Trey Hendrickson is absolutely fantastic as a 4-3. And double digits every year, multiple double digits. Not nearly as good against the run. I think that's why he's kind of not as Pro Bowl-ish, et cetera, despite the great sack totals he always has. But Trey Hendrickson is one of the outstanding pass rushers in the league for many, many years. Was great in New Orleans, was great with Cincinnati. Just got to keep him healthy on the field for 16 games. But the speed, you could just forget it. Guys I see all the time with Hendrickson can't get their hands up. He's in blue by him, whatever, struggle, need to put 2 guys on him. Not as good against the run, but a tremendous pass rusher. Josh Hines Allen, right? Changed his name. So he was Josh Allen on defense. Now he wants to be called Josh Hines Allen. Whatever you call him, he's terrific outside. He's a terrific 4-3 pass rusher. Definitely, you look at the numbers last season, and they were fantastic. I think this guy is absolutely bursting into his own as one of the premier pass rushers. Probably, unfortunately for him, the bright light on the defense is kind of not as good as it should be. It should be better than it is, but he's not the problem. He is his speed, his win rate is just terrific. I think that's the only thing is I don't think he has enough help around him to go ahead like some of these other guys. But I think Josh Hines Allen is terrific at number 6. Max Crosby. Love to watch Max Crosby. My dad, one of his favorite players when I was growing up watching football, his favorite team was the Raiders. And one of his favorite players was Lyle Alzado. And for those of you old enough to know who Lyle Alzado is, here he is right here, Max Crosby. Just a flat out wild man on the field. Just scares the you know what out of you all the time. Crosby just talks trash to the other side, gets up, never has you hear the word motor. That's why Lyle Alzado was wild all the time. and that's what Max Crosby is. Never seems tired, never seems to take a play off, never seems to take a down off. Love Max Crosby. Here is the future. Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson really came into his own last year. Double-digit sack totals. I think he's a complete defensive end. No question about it. Definitely strength is there. Great speed. Ability to stop the run. There's nothing he doesn't do well. I think he can carry. Definitely can break through. Now, last year, too, you start to see him. He couldn't even double team him some days. He definitely was taking two guys. Complete, as well-rounded as you can get. Aiden Hutchinson. Not the thing is, the only reason he's 4, he doesn't eye pop, and he doesn't eye pop as far as speed, as far as a speed rush all the time. Technique is really, really, really good for him, but he doesn't eye pop with the speed all the time. He does so many things so well. That's why he's here. But Aiden Hutchinson is fantastic. Nick Bosa. I don't think there's any flaws in his game at all. Just got to keep him healthy. But I think Bosa is terrific. I think Bosa, is probably, under a lot of circumstances in the league, I think he would be one of the best. He'd be at number 1. But 1 and 2 are just so good. Nick Bosa is terrific. This is as good of a pass rusher as you can find. I don't even know. You can't. The thing you like about these guys here at the top, and Nick Bosa is definitely on this list, you scheme to take him out and you can't. Right? Okay, we're going to double Nick Bosa. It ain't going to work. He's still going to get his sacks. I think he's ahead of Hutchinson too. That burst of speed that he has, he's definitely got more foot speed, quicker. I think he's a little bit better athlete here. That's why I have him at 3. Sack totals are unbelievable. Whoa, skip to 1. Micah Parsons. He is a D end. I think like you could really put him anywhere as well. I think he's kind of like Ray Lewis in a sense. He's playing defensive end now in a 4-3, but it doesn't matter where you put this guy. He started as an inside linebacker. You could put him at D tackle. You could put him at 6. He's gonna wreak havoc no matter where it is. For him, it almost seemed like he had a down season and stuff, but he was great, man. Like, I think he just grabbed more attention. I think like he's getting more than double team. That because double team that ain't gonna get it. This is why they're moving him more. But his pass rush is so valuable. That's why he's playing DN. I think Micah Parsons. I think this guy's future Hall of Famer, no question about it. All around athlete. I think this guy is a phenomenal athlete. And you saw it, Myles Garrett. This guy, I don't even know about a triple team. I mean, I've seen him break triple teams. The Cleveland defense might be the best defense in the NFL. It's all because of this guy. This guy, you can forget about it. Garrett, the biggest concern I have with any player in the AFC North is Myles Garrett, because he just wreaks havoc every game. You can't block. I mean, every tackle in the league has trouble blocking him, even elite tackles, even a Trent Williams. Not a great. This guy is all world. I think the best, easy to me, as far as 4-3 ends. I don't think there's any question about it. Myles Garrett, another one I think is going to the Hall of Fame. There you go. The top 10 defensive tackles in the NFL. Defensive ends in the NFL. Next week, we're going to talk D tackle, big guys. So defense, and again, it's hard to rank since it's so phenomenal. But we're going to include nose tackles and the 4 techniques next week as far as D tackles. Some of the best, who are the best D tackles in the league. And then we're going to do linebacker. This year, we're going to count like outside linebackers and in the linebacker list, and the edge rush outside linebackers 4-3. So definitely, if you saw anybody on the list who wasn't on that list, they're probably going to be on this one here for that. So definitely check that out. Okay, let's talk a little NBA. So this just came in. Breaking news there. NBA announces that TNT Warner Service did not match the agreement with Amazon Prime. TNT says they are going to take appropriate action. So TNT said in a statement that their parent company, Warner Brothers, did not match their 11-year, $1.8 billion contract with the NBA. The most recent proposal did not match throughout these negotiations. TNT vows to fight the NBA's decision. It says it doesn't believe the NBA can reject its offer and vowed to take appropriate offering. We have matched Amazon's offer, and we do not believe the NBA has a right to reject it. So that just came in. So basically, what's going on? It seemed like for a little while now, it was a done deal with the new NBA deal. This is the last year of the old deal in 2025. You're going to have, after the 2025 season, rather, 2024-25 season, you're going to have new partners with the NBA. NBC is going to be back, so it looks like that is done. Amazon, it looks like, is going to be replacing TNT with the NBA, and ESPN is going to continue. I think they're going to have, there's going to be a Sunday night NBA game now that they're going to have as part of the package. So it'll be interesting. That kind of goes with their baseball Sunday night and their NFL Sunday night is in the rest of their programming there. So that makes sense. TNT is a bunch of phony baloney here. If you wanted the NBA would have been happy to do a deal with you. So what they're doing, and this is my opinion, I don't know this to be fair. I didn't talk to anybody at TNT, obviously. But I think what they're doing is they know there's going to be people angry or whatever angry. So what they're doing is they're trying to throw it back on the NBA, right? We're trying to say, well, we match the offer, we have our rights, and then they're supposed to stay with us because we matched the offer. Now they're saying, NBA, that you didn't match the offer. So it's clear to me what they're doing. I don't think TNT thinks that they're going to get this, but they're throwing it on the NBA so they can say, well, be mad at them, right? We matched the offer, right? Because if you wanted to sign it so bad, you would have done it way before this. Why are you waiting till there's another offer on the table from Amazon? They had to give you a deadline reportedly to go ahead and match or not match. So at the very last instant, you match, and then they say you didn't. So you want it that bad that you waited to the last minute to match. And I didn't see the offer or whatever it is. This is pretty simple. You could have offered more than what they offered as well. You didn't have to just match. You could have offered even more if you wanted to keep it so bad. My opinion, I don't think TNT wanted to keep it, but I think they're getting a lot of backlash because of it. So now they can kind of say, well, it was the NBA that didn't want to our deal. We tried to keep it, etc. That's what it looks like. Outside of unpopular opinion, I'm actually for the NBA going to Amazon. I mean, as far as I'd rather go with the streaming services nowadays. That's just me. I think everybody's upset, obviously, about inside the NBA. We all want that to continue. But outside of that, I mean, I don't think there's a good reason to have it on TNT. If we could keep inside the NBA, put that on Amazon or put that on NBC, which I hope is going to happen. I think that possibility is going to happen. I'm all for it as well. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes as well. Long relationship. Turner, it was Ted Turner had that relationship, and then when that company's changed from AOL had it, and the NBA's been a mainstay on them for a very long time, since the early 80s, since I was little, so that's a long time, where they have had a relationship with the NBA. All right, so let's go ahead to our baseball summer series. Yes, baseball summer series. If you're looking at that and saying, who is that? You're not alone. That is a brand new franchise that's here in the Maryland area. So the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. That name is right. I don't think I have ever heard a sports franchise called that. That's unbelievable. Uh, so, all of our baseball summer series, we talked about minor league baseball. We talked about the Orioles organization in large part. We are going to talk about DCL or the Dominican League team a few weeks and a little bit about the Florida Coast League team. We're going to talk about that. But I want to talk about our independents in the area. First of all, this is a city, a town, a small town in Maryland, in Western Maryland. This has a tremendous history of baseball. Those of you maybe didn't know or have heard the Hagerstown Suns. They were in the league for a long time. They were a minor league team for a very, very long time, up until I believe it was 2018, where they went ahead and were no longer the affiliate. Baseball was kind of paring down some of the affiliates, so a lot of teams had to kind of change maneuvers there, and they were kind of one of the ones that were left out in the cold. Some went to an independent league or a different league, whatever, were able to do things, where the Suns were kind of left out in the cold. They were pretty much an old stadium. And so what the people in Hagerstown did with the new ownership group, there's a lot of good young owners for the Boxcars here. And now what they are doing is they have rebooted things with now what we are calling the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about that. Now, I do want to talk, I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about the league first, because this is a little different than minor league teams for the league. So of June 2023, the maximum monthly salary for players in the Atlantic League of the Professional Baseball, that's the league that the Boxcars are in, is $3,000. They're an independent baseball league that's considered the top league of independents, one of the good independent leagues, made up of Mid-Atlantic and players of 10 teams in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeastern United States. More than 40% of these players have played in the major league at some point. League teams offered include former MLB players, former MLB. Many of the players are older, and they're either trying to play return affiliated ball, or continue their final years competitively. One of the best baseball movies I saw, even though I know a lot of baseball fans love Field of Dreams, one of my favorite ones outside of Major League, which was fantastic, is Bull Durham, right? Bull Durham was, I thought, an excellent movie. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Kevin Costner playing Crash Davis. Crash Davis was a career minor leaguer, right? He was a guy who was going to break the record with the most record, and not a real record, obviously, right? But he was the record, had more minor league home runs than anybody ever had. That's essentially what we have here in this league. So these guys are not affiliated with any major league team. These are veteran guys in a large part, and these are guys that are Crash Davis, right? These are guys who are essentially playing out of the love of the game. You saw the salary for some of these guys. Look, I am 40 plus years old. Some of these guys are 30 something years old. I'm not way older than a lot of them, obviously. But if you're still playing baseball and you're still making your living, and most of them who will, never honestly play in the majors, and the fact that these guys are still out there, shout out to them for loving the game of baseball, continuing to do what they do. I think that's awesome that a lot of these guys are continuing to love the game and play baseball. So I think that's awesome. All right. So also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Meritus Park in this thing, the new stadium. I would be really remiss in not mentioning. All right, now this is where the boxcars, where the sun, not the boxcars, where the Suns were playing, right here. This is the old Municipal Stadium in Hagerstown. Yeah, this is how they used to look like. Yeah, I mentioned the movie Bull Durham. This is kind of what it was. You see the tall wall out there, all the advertisements, etc. So this is what it was. This was the oldest at the time, even going back to the early 1930s and 40s, one of the oldest stadiums the, in minor league baseball. So the history of those guys, of the Suns, was very interesting there because they are had. If you look at the Suns, they were an Orioles affiliate. They had a lot of other team affiliates throughout the years. They were affiliate of the Nats, the Blue Jays for years. What? So they had a long history of baseball in Hagerstown. That's where they used to play. A lot of them in that old municipal stadium. Now, not bad, I suppose, for its time, but I would be remiss if I didn't show you guys Meredith Park. Because this is what it looks like now. This is just a rendering. I'm telling you, this is a rendering, and but it's guys, it's not far off. I mean, they have skyboxes at the minor league stadium. Those of you who have never been to a minor league stadium, a lot of you Orioles fans, etc., this is not. I mean, I went to a Chiefs game that I've been there in the park, but man, look at this. Concession, center, novelty shop. They are not huge like a major league stadium. You don't ever see that. You're going to get about 4,000, 5,000, but man, oh man, later for that stuff, where it was like the oldest stadium in the league and all that. That is what it looks like now for in minor league baseball. Let's talk about the Boxcars. Not a very good team. Not too surprising considering it's a brand new team, right? Not too surprising. Mark Mason is the manager. David Blackstone is the GM. Record again, not very good. 23-55. Now, no real pitches to note. Yuri Perez participated again, guys, long time. 2010 Futures game. He's one of their starting outfielders. Demetrius Moore, 9 years in the minors. So definitely keep that in mind. This guy's won the most games. He won 4 games by Kickham. ERA is about 5, but I think that's worth noting. A guy that's his hero would be a Rich Hill. Guy who was out of baseball for years, went to like a league like this, got himself back on track, got a guy, got to the majors, back to the majors, became one of the better players. Here, Boxcars. These are some of the better performers. Cito Clever, 31 years old, 9 home runs, 36 RBIs, 266 average. He's their most productive home run hitter for their year. Wellington Dotel is 38 years old. God bless you, brother. Like 38 years old, 3 home runs, 20 RBIs. 3 home runs, 20 RBIs, hitting 320. Definitely a guy, that's the love of the game right there, man, to be out there still playing. Alvarez Acevedo Abreu, excuse me if I messed the name up there, 30 years old, 7 home runs, 29 RBIs, hitting 235. Daniel Gomez at first, he is, I think these are the 2 best guys here. Daniel Gomez, 6 home runs, 14 RBIs, 304 average. Andrew Mortiz, most recently in the Braves organization, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. He was even in the Braves organization as early as March, at least like then. So I think the last 2 are probably 2 if you're looking at guys who have a shot to barely get back to the majors at some point. I think those are the two. Ortiz, I think, to me, looks like the best player. He's starting a lot of games for him, though, out there in center field. So I think he looks to me like he's their best guy there. Shout out to the Boxcars, too, as well, out there. They are one of the few teams that really answered some of my requests to talk to them. So I really appreciate that. Shout out to the social media manager, Fit McDonald, for actually doing that as well, answering, following up with responses. So definitely next week, we're going to talk about the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. Man, you haven't had a real blue crab until you've been to Maryland and had crab. I mean, at Baltimoreans, though, crabs all the time, all summer, crab feast. One thing I miss about living in Baltimore is having the crab feast all the time. My uncle used to always have crabs all the time. All right. Orioles report. Get that graphic up there. All right, one more segment here. So Orioles report coming to you right after the game here. Orioles lose tonight. So they've lost their first two. They did win 2 out of 3 with the Rangers. They were on a 3-game winning streak. I think, look, when you have Burns on the mound, when you have Grayson on the mound, that's you got a shot. There's no question about it. So definitely, if you got those guys there, you definitely absolutely have a shot at it. You definitely have a shot at becoming a good team. It's like Earl Weaver. You're going to get a good pitch game every night, and you get the 3-run home run. You know you're going to get a good pitch game. Those guys were fantastic. Looking a little shaky behind it more and more. Again, Kramer, not great again. Last game, they brought up Chance McDermott, only 4 innings. Suarez, let's see at the deadline. Talk a little bit about that as well. Who's hot? A little tough to tell because it's still broken up. More next week, a full week completely. But Kowser started out with the home run. Westy definitely starting back. O'Hearn starting back. This is why the runs came back. This is the meat and potatoes. They're not your stars, but Westberg, Kowser, O'Hearn, they keep the bus moving as far as your offense. Mountie, not great, not super worried about it the first couple games, but I definitely put him on the not list. Suarez was terrible in his start, not so good. Kramer, not as good. This is kind of what Kramer is. He's good some games, and then he's not so good in others. So it's too bad. I like to see more consistency because he definitely has the talent to pull that off. Supplemental first round, Griff O'Farrell in agreement with the Orioles. So definitely he is locked in. $2.7 million bonus as well. Didn't see the Honeycutt sign, but I'm pretty sure he's going to sign too. But O'Farrell is in. Y'all going to love Griff O'Farrell if you haven't seen him. I think definitely this was a sleeper. I definitely surprised he went as low as he did. Good job by the Orioles signing this guy. For Sunday's win for the Rangers, Orioles activated outfielder Heston Kjerstad from the 7-day concussion list to make room. They optioned Kyle Stowers. I'm kind of hoping, in a way, Stowers gets traded. Not because I wouldn't mind Stowers, but he's got no future here in Baltimore. They keep, even when he plays well, they send him down. When they bring him up, they don't play him enough to really establish himself. He's kind of just stuck in the middle there. He's stuck between a good AAA player and not playing at all. So I really, really feel bad for Stowers there, that he's not getting more of a chance to play. Today, selected by the contract of Chance McDermott from Norfolk, option Brian Baker to Norfolk, designated Jonathan Hensley for assignment. So I wasn't even sure we still had him. I'm not as up on the Norfolk roster all the time, but I know they sent him down, so I guess they went out and released him. Brian Baker, they sent down. I'm pretty sure he'll be back as well at some point. And Chance McDermott, tonight, he pitched 4 innings, 3 home runs. I don't know why he's wearing 60. I don't like it when, he's a major league pitcher. I mean, unless he wanted to do that, but I don't I don't particularly like that, those high numbers and 60 and all that other stuff. I don't like when they have that for those guys. Put them in a number, right? Have them wear 30. Yeah, what's even available? 38 or something like that. Some, I bring them a little closer to 60. That's crazy. Um, this week, Padres, Manny Machado comes to Baltimore, and he's going to play as well uh, with the Padres. Don't know where to put the Padres, except they have a lot of talent. The Padres are a really good team, and they have a lot of talent. So I definitely see what happens with the San Diego Padres, Toronto Blue Jays as well. This is going to be big for the Blue Jays around the trade deadline. Are they going to throw in the towel? Interested. Are they going to get rid of? Are they going to get rid of Vlad Guerrero? Are they going to get rid of Bo Bichette? Are they going to trade some of that pitching? Are they going to stick it out and try and get there? They're in last place. This is a tough one, man. I definitely think the Blue Jays are losing faith. They got to be. They got to think, well, maybe these guys aren't the guys to get it over like this. But to start a rebuild and tear it down, interesting. So let's see what the Blue Jays actually do. One more. Anthony Santander, player of the week. Santander may be having the season with his greatest home run production. Definitely on track for 30-plus home runs. The price of the brick is going up, to use the wire reference for Anthony Santander. I definitely believe he's going to be cashing in the offseason. Interesting to see what happens in the offseason. Trade deadline is going to be this week. They're going to go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and look at the trade deadline. What happens? Trade deadline. Is Terrence Subel coming to Baltimore? Is Garrett Crochet coming to Baltimore? The other White Sox pitcher, Eric, is he coming to Baltimore? The Blue Jays, are they going to throw in the towel? Are they going to get rid of some of their players? How expensive is that going to be? Which prospects possibly are going to go out the door? Is Jackson Holliday untouchable? Is Kobe Mayo untouchable? Is Samuel Basallo, is he untouchable? Some of the prospects we already have. Who would value? What's the value of a Cal Stowers? I can say this. Something's happening. They're not going to stand pat. They're going to get some pitching, for sure. You can book that. They're not going to go and try to win a World Series with the rotation, especially the way it's looked lately. Interesting to see what happens going forward in the offseason. Interesting to see what happens going forward down the stretch for the Orioles. All right. Thank you very much for joining us this week for the Ravery Sports Podcast. Busy week for the country. So we've had a new presidential candidate. We've had the fool Van Jones cry on TV again. That's just foolishness. But we've had a lot of things going on. So all of the land that plane, thank you for joining us. Thank you for spending any time with us. Thank you for the more of you are out there watching and pulling our numbers up. Thank you for supporting this endeavor. You have a great rest of your day. Enjoy all